serviced accommodation and holiday lets have been dealt a huge blow by the Chancellor in the budget today. Landlords are again being kicked in the teeth and used as a cash cow to generate more revenue for the government. Okay, my name is Charles Kelly. This is Money Tips. I want to share a screen with you right now on the budget today, which in the UK means that the government is setting out its budget for the year, what expenditure plans, what tax cuts they're going to give, because of course they want to give some tax cuts this year. Why? Because there's an election coming up, right? So they've got to give some money away with one hand, but take it away from someone else like landlords in the other. Okay, now most of the newspapers talk about the usual stuff like the cut in national insurance, which will put a bit more money in everybody's pocket, £450 a year in everyone's pocket, because national insurance is like part of the income tax system. So by cutting it from 10 to 8%, it will make people feel like they've got a bit more money in their pocket. But most of the commentators on TV are not talking about the property side of things that have been affected in this budget. Okay, and I'm looking down the BBC website here. I can't even see a mention of it literally in this BBC website. However, what I want to talk about is holiday lets, right? Serviced accommodation. And this is where somebody lets a property for at least 210 days a year. It's called a holiday let. And unlike normal letting, that where you have the normal rules like, fixed tenants, AST tenancies, having to serve Section 21 notices, and then, not getting their tax relief if the property on the interest payments, if the property is in your own name. Holiday let gets around all that. So if someone moves to a holiday let situation or serviced accommodation, even though the property is in their own name, they can start claiming tax relief on their mortgage, so they can write off the mortgage interest against their tax. This was particularly beneficial for higher rate taxpayers. Well, the Chancellor just said we're abolishing the holiday let regime. Now, he didn't go into any more detail on that. We'll have to see when the Finance Act comes in what exactly this means. A lot of government ministers make these announcements like he was going to bring in 99% mortgages at the last autumn budget. So we'll have to see what this actually entails. But it certainly sounds like it will abolish the tax benefit that landlords received through letting their property on a holiday letting basis, right? Now, he's saying that this will help parts of the community like the seaside resorts in Devon and Cornwall that are saying there's no properties available because all these greedy landlords are coming down and letting it as holiday lets. But I'm not so sure. I think it is partly because it's another tax grab, really. I think it's another tax grab by the government to say, okay, this is one newspaper that's covered this. Government scraps property tax reliefs and reduces higher rate property CGT. So yeah, they have slightly cut capital gains tax, but don't forget in the previous budget they reduced the threshold at which you start paying capital gains from 12 to 6. So you're starting to pay capital gains earlier. So they're sort of, again, they're giving with one hand now, but they've taken already with the other hand. It says the government announced that it will abolish furnished holiday lettings regime, which gives extra tax reliefs for costs incurred for furnishing the holiday lets, and they're also removing multiple dwellings relief on stamp duty. I won't go into that in much detail here. But the main thing is that holiday let landlords can claim capital gains tax relief for traders. They're eligible to plant and machinery capital allowances for items such as furniture, equipment, which again, the government abolished a few years ago for normal lettings under George Osbourne. And the profits count as earnings for pension purposes. Okay. The furnished holiday lets regime will be abolished from April 2025. So what he's saying is that this will help make more property available for people who want to buy, and it's not these landlords that are buying it. But I think it's got more to do with, as it says here, will save the Treasury around £245 million while the removal of multiple dwellings will generate 385 million a year. So it's another tax grab by the government, right? It's as simple as that. There's no other way I can look at this. And I think it will have the opposite effect, because more and more landlords now are saying, I've had enough, because they've got out of normal letting and got into holiday lets because of the forthcoming Rent Act, which says that they're going to abolish Section 21 eviction notices, and that's the right of you to say, by the way, the tenancy's come to an end, please leave in 2 months. No, now you've got to give a reason. You've got to go to court, possibly under Section 8, and the court can't even cope with what they've got at the moment. So a lot of landlords then said, right, okay, fine, we'll go into a serviced accommodation. It's more hassle, but I'll get more profit, and I'll also be able to claim these other allowances against my property. Now the government are pulling that rug from under their feet as well. So I'd imagine a lot of landlords are going to say, look, I've just had enough, you know. And I think it's also will help the big businesses like the big hotels, which are getting huge competition from Airbnbs and people letting their properties through booking.com down on the coast and in the towns. You know, they haven't got it all their own way now. So that's kept prices down. And if you wipe out all these small businesses and just leave it to the big boys, what's going to happen? They can put their prices up. They can charge whatever they like. So I think it's partly a tax grab. It's partly to help big business as usual. And it takes away a route that landlords with properties in their own name had to get tax relief on the mortgage interest. So one of the things that a previous Conservative government brought in under George Osbourne was something called Section 24, which removed the right to claim your interest expenses against your income. And I won't go into the technicalities of that, but the people it makes the most difference for is higher rate taxpayers. So if you're a landlord and you're already paying higher rate tax because of your own income, then you've got rental income coming in. That income, the gross income, will go against your income and push you even higher and make you pay more tax. Some people have even pushed into higher rates of tax, into a higher tax band of 40%, just because of their property income. Now, one of the routes for stopping this was to put your property into a limited company, but then they grab you again. Capital gains tax when you sell that property to the limited company, stamp duty when you put it in there. So what do? Well, one route was to put your property in a serviced accommodation or a holiday let situation. Then you get, but now everyone's on that bandwagon. So the government said, right, let's stop it, as they normally do. But there is another way. And I've worked with an accountant the last year or so, helping people make that transition from having 3, 4, 5, 10, 12 properties, sometimes 20 in their own name, because that's the way they used to do it. The mortgages were easier to get, and put those into a limited company. It's a process. It's not just an immediate thing without paying capital gains tax or stamp duty. So if you're interested in that, if you want to know more about that, email me at charles@charleskelly.net. And I'll put you in touch with the accountant who can help you there. But again, this is bad news, really. You know, as I said, yes, they've reduced capital gains tax, reduced from 28 to 24% for higher or additional rate taxpayers when selling their residential property, like a second property. But, you know, as I said, they also withdrew the tax. They changed the tax free allowance on capital gains to 6,000. Now it's going to go down to 3,000 this April. So this is a nonsense. It's just a load of rubbish. It's just a complete con. I mean, can people not see this? It's just a complete con. And again, I sort of gone a rant here, but they're just using the landlords as a cash cow, and they don't care about us because, you know, we don't make up that many voters. And they'd rather please, say, Generation Rent than pander to landlords, because if they help landlords, they'd be accused of, you know, going against renters and that sort of thing. So look, that's all for now. That's all I want to say about the budget. You can read about all the other things, the alcohol duty, the cigarettes and all that sort of thing. You can read about that in the newspapers. This to me was the main aspect of it. It just was slipped through very quietly. Most TV channels hardly reported it. But for me, although I'm not in holiday lets, by the way, it doesn't affect me directly, but a lot of people I know are, and they've transitioned their business into a holiday let serviced accommodation model, and now they're going to get kicked in the teeth. Now, I really don't know what this abolition of this regime means, does it mean that all lettings now will be on an AST? Does it mean you can still let your property on a serviced accommodation basis and not have to worry about Section 21s? Or is he just abolishing it from the tax point of view? He didn't really say. So we'll have to see. Okay. Thanks a lot. Charles Kelly, Money Tips. If you're interested in finding out more about how to move your properties from your own name, your investment properties from your own name into a limited company without incurring stamp duty or capital gains tax, contact me at charles@charleskelly.net and I'll put you in touch with specialists, because one route to help you there has been wiped out by the Chancellor in the budget today. So thanks very much and bye for now. I'll speak to you in the next Money Tips episode. Bye for now.